So a little while ago, I got interested in the life of David Foster Wallace. He's an American writer, academic, well known for his social commentary on sort of the emerging distracted state so many of us find ourselves in. All before the internet, too. He wrote a book called Infinite Jest. Got it over there on my bookshelf. Still haven't read it, but it's there, looming, waiting for me. But that hasn't stopped me from enjoying some of his YouTube lectures. And as I've clicked around, the algorithm has started to kind of figure out what I like, as it does, as as David would be horrified to learn and find out. And it started out to me this really beautiful video, um, all about him as portrayed in this movie called The End of the Tour. And it's this really beautifully stitched together sort of treatise on alienation and the uniquely American alienation that so many of us experience from the sense that what we want in happiness is just on the other side of some achievement, some goal, something that we strive towards. And then along the way, we comfort ourselves and distract ourselves, and how the quality of entertainment is getting better and better. There's this great moment in that video and in the movie that it's taken from where he's where the kind of the interviewer, the writer who's interviewing David, kind of pushes him on the topic of his a suicide attempt that he purportedly made. And David comes back and says it wasn't the drugs and the alcohol, it wasn't anything else. It was the uniquely American life that he lived. And really, if he's addicted to anything, it was television. I think a lot of us can relate to that now, right? If we're addicted to anything, it's not this substance, that substance. It's scrolling, social media. I wonder what David would say about social media. But anyway, I got inspired watching this video and I decided to watch the movie. I actually, work has been pushing me pretty hard lately, and it took me to Phoenix for the day last week. Flew down in the morning, flew back at night. I got back and I was so drained, and I just needed to kind of get some input. So went down to the food truck on the corner, ordered a pizza, came back and ordered a movie. Decided to watch end of the tour. Now I was expecting it to be a lot like the this beautiful video, this beautiful 5 minute montage that someone pieced together, and it surprised me. In fact, I feel like it called me out in a way. Um, I've been on a long journey these last 5 years, really longer than 5 years, but 5 years ago is a good enough threshold. It's when I kind of woke up and started trying to understand what it took to be alive and to live a real life. I started really earnestly working on it and letting go of assumptions. And along the way, I've made a ton of great changes. And I think I've sort of told myself this story of someone who's conquered something difficult and something to give back. That I have something that's worth, that has value, and that there are those out there who can benefit from it. And I think that that's brought me to a place where when I sit down to talk to y'all, I find myself sometimes giving advice. Maybe you've seen the last video that I made. It was called something like When Silence is an Act of Rebellion. There's a little bit of anger in that title and in the video itself, indeed, because I've been sitting there for an hour and a half trying to record this video idea. And when I sat down and started talking to the camera, I found that I was just giving advice. I was I was kind of turned off by it, kind of disgusted with myself. Surely I can do better than talking into a camera and telling people what to do, right? Um, and this movie surprised me. This movie surprised me. There's this great scene where the two characters, David Foster Wallace and the writer, also named David, funnily enough, are in a car for an extended period of time, and they've just had a sort of conflict. Um, David called out the writer for something, and the writer wasn't too happy about it. It's a little snippy. And so they have this sort of uneasy dialogue back and forth in the car, and it's all about whether or not David Foster Wallace is sort of faking it when he kind of slums it up with just folk. He wrote this novel, this brilliant novel, and he speaks brilliantly. But I think the last thing he wants to be perceived as, at least as is described in this scene, is as someone brilliant. He doesn't want to be apart from people. He doesn't want to be separated from people. Alienation is his big thing. And there's something about brilliance that is naturally alienating. And what he really wants is to be real and to be connected with people. And as the characters go back and forth, you can see the writer sort of poking at him and thinking that this is still a show that David's putting on. That he's just sort of patronizing him, and that the real David's underneath there, sort of putting on a performance. It got me thinking about my own behavior and the performances that I put on. I think that when I turn the camera on, I say things that are true to me, even when I'm giving advice or maybe it's not been asked for or welcome. But I think the thing that I've not done as well as I owe to myself and to y'all is to always be sure when I turn the camera on, I'm saying something real. And I think the difference between being authentic and being real is in the grip and the connection between what's coming from me and what's coming from you. And there's something about the relationship of me sitting here giving you advice that is not quite right. And I sat down one morning last week after feeling this and thinking this. It was the morning after I watched the video. I needed to go to the bathroom, got me out of bed a couple hours before my alarm, and I was sitting in the bathroom, and all of a sudden all these ideas started coming to me for videos and discussions. And there are things that are so different sounding from the list that I've been creating for myself. It's an exploration of real problems I'm actually experiencing and not of some kind of polishing of my past in order to make some kernel of wisdom that's going to make me seem impressive. Struggle isn't only in my past, it's in this moment too. And I'm so far from having it figured all out. So, this is my realization, which is leading to maybe commitment isn't the right word, but an interest and a recognition of a need and a calling to be more real. I don't know exactly where it's going to go. I do know it's gotten me reading more, and for the first time in ages, doing a bit of writing. I'll include a link here if anyone's interested, but I've gotten a Substack started. I think I'm going to make a habit of doing some writing, and it's going to be Same kinds of ideas as I talk about here. But there's some things that are easier to tell with the written word, maybe better to tell than in conversation, like the way we're talking now. You can find those things there. The realest thing I can say to you right now is that I'm feeling quite humbled by this realization, and especially going into this experience of watching this movie of this, what I expected to be this intimate portrayal of this brilliant person exploring a problem that's so real to me that I relate to so closely. And something about the relating to that image of David Foster Wallace has been flattering in a way that I'm a little shy to admit. One of the thinkers I really respect has done some content about the tyranny of the intellect. I grew up being told I was smart, and I have basically believed it all the way through. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I don't know. But I do know tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to wake up and try again. Maybe I'll see you when I get there. Till then, take good care of yourself, my friends. Be good to each other. Remember, we're not in this alone. We can climb out of this together. Good night for now.